Good morning. Good morning, everyone. This is Alex Volkov. Welcome to Thursday, April 30th. Give a big shout out in comments. Let's go. Nice to see you guys. It is the fifth episode we did in April, I think. There's a lot of episodes this April. Last day, tomorrow is already May. Can you believe it? Welcome to Thursday, your weekly live AI news show to cover everything. With me, I have Yam Peleg. We're gonna have more folks here. Welcome, Yam. How are you doing, sir? You're gonna
Tired. I'm tired, boss.
tired, boss. This has been a long week, but this is why we're here. As a reminder, this is why we're here. Welcome, hi, folks. Hey, Dev Dog. We're gonna say hi to everyone who just joins. Hopefully, they joined a little bit before with our countdown video. That was created fully by Claude and Hyperframes, by the way. And I thought, as usually, I think that today I'd be able to go deeper into the process of how I built this with Claude and Hyperframes and show you and explain. And then I looked at the TLDR notes, and then I was praying to the AI gods that nothing else releases this week because we just won't be able to cover all. This is our fate. Yam, you remember when we used to cover everything that happens in AI, including some time for papers? That was a long time ago.
No, it's impossible.
No, it's impossible. So basically,
for a long time, yeah.
Basically, the show now is about preparedness and curation. This is what Thursday is right now, and so we're very, very happy that you guys are choosing us for the whatever time you dedicate with us on a Thursday. Some of you stay for the full 2 hours. Some of you, the crazier ones, stayed with us last week for the full 4 hours that were live as we were waiting for GPT 5.5. That was an exercise in editing. I had to cut down almost 4.5 hours of yapping into something that's like 2 hours. Cannot believe that it was only last week that we saw updates. So we have a lot to talk about, and I think maybe the coolest thing to open the show with is this. Let me make sure that I'm sharing my screen properly. Really, really hoping that this works this time. I don't know why, but I had some issues with my Mac to share my screen. And I think those issues are back. But if not, we'll figure something out. Mayo Clinic announced an announcement yesterday. Yam, I don't know if you saw it.
Predict cancer.
Maybe. Yes. Yeah, it doesn't look like I can share my screen, which is a bummer. We'll share it anyway. We'll share something. So give me a second. I'm not giving up this time. We're doing a slow start. Welcome, folks who are still joining us on Instagram and other places. I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this. See if this works. Yeah. And we'll share my screen because I'm not giving up on this Mayo Clinic thing. Not giving up on Mayo Clinic.
While you're all waiting, let me just tell you that GPT 5.5 is really good. I think everyone agrees.
This is the model that we just started talking about just last week, and since then most of us used it. Yeah, give us a little like recap of your week and GPT 5.5 while I try to sort this damn thing out.
Look, these family of models, the GPT Codex. I'm not entirely sure at this point if we're talking about GPT or Codex or both of them at the same time, but the entire family of models were always known for being good with coding. However, it came with a price at the beginning. Some of the earlier versions were, let's say, they were tough to speak with. You can say that. But I can absolutely say that these issues are absolutely over. I mean, GPT 5.5 is just good, both for coding and both for just being a normal conversation buddy. Can say it like that. They absolutely gets you, even when you say vague things. For example, something very common that I used to do and many other people used to do that works great with Claude and Gemini, by the way, is just make it look nicer, for example, in front end, in UI, in applications, so on. And Codex, look, it's a great coder model, but it couldn't understand to the very end what it means look nicer, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Make it look nicer, make it I don't know, visually more appealing, things of this sort. But yeah, absolutely, GPT 5.5 absolutely gets it. You tell it to make something looks nice and just happen. But there are, I just want to give everyone a little bit of a spoiler. It does have, or at least I thought at the beginning that it has some, you can say, a not non-human kind of way of speaking because of the technical terms. But turns out it's not just technical terms. It's learned to speak pretty in an odd way about gremlins and so
goblins,
on. And
yes.
goblins.
We'll mention goblins for sure. We have to. Like for folks who are not as us sitting and ingesting everything on the Twitter timeline, the goblin mode is a very interesting phenomenon that came, I think, from GPT 5.4, and now it's officially by OpenAI. We're definitely going to mention this. Yam, I think we're back though. Let me add Nistan, because Nistan, it's very important for you to participate in this specific news item that I'm about to bring. Folks, this is what we're here for. There's an announcement from Mayo Clinic that AI with Mayo Clinic. This is published in a actual journalist RedMod. This is published in an actual journal, medical journal. Mayo Clinic AI detects pancreatic cancer up to 3 years before diagnosis. RedMod achieves 73% sensitivity versus 39 for radiologists on the same scans. 73 versus 39 for human radiologists. This is crazy. And specifically, this is, as far as I'm concerned, this is the one use of AI that we need to accelerate even more. There's this meme about we need GPUs to solve cancer, right? And the dude's like looking at the solve cancer, right? So this is literally solving cancer. This gives people more like time to live, and I'm absolutely for it. Let me see if I can zoom in for you guys a little bit more. RedMod analyzes hundreds of radiomic features, tissue texture, and structure pattern invisible to the human eye on routine CT scans, originally read as normal. Dr. Ajit Goenka from Mayo Clinic says the greatest barrier to saving lives from pancreatic cancer has been our inability to see the disease when it's still curable. This AI can now identify the signature of cancer from a normal appearing pancreas. I know we usually talk about models, about open source, about releases, about big companies, etc. But this is absolutely something that I wanted to bring here to the show to say, hey, this is what we're all waiting for. We're all are waiting for AI to accelerate our health, for AI to do customized medicine based on DNA. All of this is possible. We know it's possible. It's just extremely stupidly expensive. And for AI to finally solve cancer. DevDog with a comment of pancreatic cancer is what got Steve Jobs, folks. Imagine that, like, Steve Jobs had an AI 3 years before he went to a diagnosis to tell him, like, hey, you should go handle this. This is an absolutely incredible big deal. And I just wanted to bring this to the show to talk to folks because I think it's very, very important. 3 years early. Folks, what do you think? I think this is incredible news. I fucking love this. I think it's incredible news. I want more. This is not some open source person making claims. This is Mayo Clinic. Most of AI LLMs right now have been trained on Mayo Clinic and their corpus of data in the world. Nistan, you talk to doctors all the time. What's your take on this, brother?
So I missed this news. This just came out yesterday.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And this looks different from the University of Geneva also announced something similar about colon cancer a month ago. So I am just scanning through now. So I'm just reading off the screen. it looks like they looked at the CT scans, and that was enough. So this makes it pretty interesting. Yeah, seriously, I am very annoyed by how much more can be done in this field.
Yes.
And as someone that is working like on a full digital twin product to like bring together all the data, genomics data, drug data about any person, and even visualize stuff and what's going on in reactions. The data is all there. And the LLMs and the AIs are, the AI solutions, whether it's like labeling stuff, they're very good at pattern matching, and it's not that hard to do all of this. There's just like a lot of hurdles that are non-technical in the way. But yeah, I think we're about to see a lot more. It looks like in this case they grabbed CT scans, and now that I'm just guessing here, so I don't know what they actually did. I just scanned.
Yep. It's a CT scan, and my notes are like Excel at this point. My notes say it's designed to run on CT scans people are already getting for other reasons. No extra screening is needed for this. And specifically, the gap gets even bigger the earlier you go. At more than 2 years before diagnosis, the AI catches nearly 3x as many cases as specialist radiologists. So there's like two things are happening here. One of them is this unlocks regular CT scans. I don't know how cheap this is. We don't know the details about models. This is published in an actual magazine. One of them is, regular CT scans will be now scanned for pancreatic cancer, for example, which has 15% survival rate. 85% of the patients get diagnosed after it's already spread. This is like the hugest deal with this cancer specifically. So I think it's absolutely like a breakthrough. Not only this specific breakthrough, it just shows that the world that we're all advocating for the past 3.5 years, we're sitting here and telling you, hey, a doctor, AI can help you get better, and that future needs to come soon, and that future is coming, and I'm very, very excited. So
I'll quickly say stuff that comes from other doctors that I hear, that 90%, especially the ones that are in policy positions, 90% of the care happens outside a hospital. So if you can improve that, and you can make such a big difference for people to not end up in a hospital in the first place. So every little thing like this helps a lot. I'm guessing here for CT scans, since it's a lot of multiple cross-section images that are put together, so you do have pretty high resolution. With that, you can, and it looks like a radiologist did detect this too. They just did not have a very high rate. So this is one thing where just applying the power of AI, where I don't know, different machines take different amounts of images that they stitch together in CT scans, so they can take a couple hundred or maybe a couple thousand. I may be wrong on that. And then they put them together into like a 3D image. But now that you have very long context LLMs and stuff, you can fit hundreds of images into the context, or you can fit 30, 40, and then and that's how you can improve the accuracy with better data. Again, I am mostly guessing this. I don't know exactly what they did, but yeah, just based on this limited information, this is pretty cool. We need to see way more of it though.
I'm ready, dude. I think like a subsection, a Friday AI for just how AI solves longevity and sickness. I'm down to do a whole another show just for how AI is going to improve our lives, like in a material way, not just in a digital world. It looks like folks in the comments are having a lot of engagement about this. Folks, leave us a comment if you're impacted by this. Really like very strongly fuck cancer. But if you're impacted by this in any way, this is
also one more thing, because this is a solution that just needs the images. It doesn't look like it needs a very complicated one. So there was a one from University of Geneva they used biomarkers, blood data. They had to put together all kinds of data together to pick up these patterns, because this just needs the CT scan DICOM files, which are just the images. You can apply this everywhere for pretty cheap. So this is like one of those things that can make like a huge impact, that likely will make a huge impact everywhere, because they already have the CT scans.
Yeah.
They can prioritize patients now. So it doesn't matter if it makes an error 25% of the time. Now you can prioritize which people go and get screened first. And this is the one thing that people miss, is like, oh, the LLMs can make mistakes maybe like 10 or 15% of the time. Like, it doesn't matter if it makes a mistake 30% of the time. By automating that process, you can prioritize the screening for the people that need it most. And yes, maybe 10 people out of 30 did not need to be screened, but now you save 20. Like,
and also those people will get a very harsh like update, and then exciting news that nothing happened. All right, folks, I think it's time to continue moving on. I just like, if every week we get to open the show with positive news like this, I'm down. I'm absolutely down. Fuck cancer, and it's time to solve this once and for all. Folks, let's move on. Very quick round of what's the top news in AI from since last we chatted, and then we're gonna dive into the TLDR. There's a lot to talk about. We also have a guest on the show today. If you ever looked at a piece of text and wondered, I wonder if this is AI written or not, sometimes you can know. If people use like the lower model, sometimes you can know. If it's using the very famous "it's not X, it's Y" statement, or if you see a lot of M dashes that people don't usually do, you can kind of tell. But what happens if you can't tell? So there is this whole thing about AI detection, AI writing detection, and Pangram is one of the companies that leads the pack, looks like. And so we're gonna have Max Sfero from Pangram come to the show and talk to us about the new Chrome extension that detects whether or not everything you read on X and LinkedIn is AI generated. You will be shocked how much it is. And so I'm excited to have Max on very, very soon. Meanwhile, would love to go around the table here to talk about what stands out in this week. You guys feel free, welcome to refer to the notes or just from the top of your head. I will also invite our audience to also say this. Folks, I see a bunch of folks in the comments as well already on YouTube and X and everywhere where we're streaming right now. Join us and tell us what is the one thing that we absolutely must cover on the show, because again, it's all about curation right now. It's less about we're covering everything. It's impossible. It's all about curation. So we are very interested about the co-host here and also the audience. What is the one most important thing to cover this week? We'll start with LDJ. LDJ, welcome.
Yeah, so when it comes to, I guess it was kind of at the very end or a little after our show, but GPT 5.5 last week. And now that we've actually had some time to get to know it and get to use it, it's just so much faster. It feels
The best. It's the best.
Yeah,
it's just the best.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess besides that, because that's not, we kind of covered that a little bit last Thursday, but DeepSeek vision paper, I guess that's something interesting. They basically show a technique for having models do reasoning, basically using visual tokens and visual information and kind of piecing those together. So that was pretty interesting.
That's great. Let's go to Yam, because Yam is already wearing glasses. But you cannot say GPT 5.5. No, you can. It's fine.
Okay, so GPT 5.5 cyber.
Oh,
what you're gonna do about this?
Okay, tell me.
GPT 5.5.
Tell me. I don't even have this in my notes, to be honest. It's just like a recent release, I think.
Okay, you know Mythos, which is kind of still a mythos. We haven't got to play with it, so it is still kind of a mythos. Like,
yeah, kind of a myth.
Name. Yeah. So there had been a fine tune of GPT 5.5 allegedly, not allegedly actually for real.
Yeah, for real.
That is pretty good at cyber as well. Mythos allegedly is too dangerous to release because it can break the law. Not just saying that every other model is very much capable of breaking the law already, but you know. Anyway, a GPT 5.5 is no less powerful on cyber than Mythos, and we are talking about detecting unknown and not known yet vulnerabilities, security vulnerabilities in computers, in software, in apps that we simply don't know about, which can be actually dangerous. And GPT 5.5 is very good at that. GPT 5.5 cyber. So I'm just saying, you can't avoid it. Pretty much, it's the best at the moment.
Yeah, it is the best. Nistan, what is your top one thing since last week?
All right, you guys ready for another out of the blue one?
Okay.
It's a 440 megabyte file by the Tencent Hunyuan team, and they shrunk down. I think it's a 1.6B model. It's just a translation model, so it translates from 30 languages. There's nothing particularly that exciting about what it does. But to me, and I think to everybody else's, I think somebody else, aside from the Prism ML team, is cracking this 1-bit LLMs thing. And this looks like a different method to me. So it didn't look like a bitnet. And this is a huge deal, and it's going to be a much bigger deal in the next 2 years as the hardware that comes out for this is made. Because once you go to ternary or lower or 1-bit LLMs, you do not need to do matmults anymore. You can just do lookup tables on an FPGA and this brings exponential increases both in the speed of which those matmults are made, and also brings like an 8x up to 8x reduction in the memory. And those things tend to start acting in synergy with each other. So this is a huge deal as to what's going on, because if this technique works for a tiny little translation model that they released, I will guarantee you they're going to make gigantic models, gigantic MOEs now that are in the same 1-bit, because they're also claiming no loss of accuracy. I mean, there is always a little loss of accuracy, but like a lot less than the very bad bitnet compressions that there were. So I am finding this out that there is one more other player that has kind of cracked this whole optimizer down to 1-bit LLMs thing, and it's going to be a much bigger deal in the next 2 years.
All righty.
So, yeah.
Tencent, Nissan, send me a link to this, please. So we'll add this to show notes. All right. Somebody says Carpathian Demi at Sequoia. I'm not sure. Demis at Sequoia. I'm not sure what you guys are referring to. But feel free, folks, to give us comments about the one thing in AI that we must absolutely cover. My one thing comes from yesterday. Stripe had Stripe sessions yesterday. They announced a bunch of things. It's a sign of things to come when most of sessions is talking about how the world is moving to agentic and how the economy is reshaping around AI. And specifically, the one thing that I would love to tell you about later down the show is that Stripe has this concept called Link, where you can store your credit cards in just one-click payment across the internet. Link now has CLI for agents, and so you can get your clankers to use your credit cards and get a notification approval on your phone and say, yeah, I'm okay with this. You can give it a daily budget, but also you can like just approve every transaction. And I did that yesterday. And a little bit of a sneak peek preview about the next week. I'm going to get married next week, so I'm not going to be part of the show. But I asked, thank you. I asked my clanker to go buy us a gift using the Sprite link and send a notification. And I asked my OpenCloud to go buy me a gift. And I will tell you the funny story about this down the show. But it's really something to be able to securely give your clankers a credit card and to be able to approve every transaction at transaction layer. Stripe announced a bunch of other things, but I think the fact that I gave my clanker a credit card yesterday without like being afraid that this is gonna go crazy, I think that's the top for me. Like we're going into agentic commerce. And I think it's very, very important for us to cover. All right, folks, we all said our piece, right? So while we wait for Wolfram to join our guest, I think it's time for TLDR. Let's jump in to see the top news and kind of everything that we're going to try to cover this week. There's gonna be a lot. So we'll see how much of it we'll be able to cover, but I'm just going to run through the TLDR for this week, and then we can get started with a full on show. Let's go to TLDR. Let's go to TLDR. Alrighty, this is the TLDR of Thursday for April 30th. This is everything that we've gathered from this week's news. There's a lot, so I cannot claim anymore that we're covering everything, but this is the top news that we're going to cover. As we already mentioned, Mayo Clinic RedMod, this is an AI that detects pancreatic cancer on routine CT scans up to 3 years before radiologist, and the clinical diagnosis. I think it's incredibly cool. In open source, we have the return of the whale. DeepSeek V4 preview has dropped. Open source 1.6 trillion mixture of experts with 49 billion active parameters, 1 million context. Claim to rival Opus and GPT 5.4 at fraction of the cost. It did not break the internet like DeepSeek R1 did a year and something ago. So we're definitely going to mention this. SenseNova U1. It's an Apache 2 unified multimodal, no visual encoder, no VAE. 8 billion parameter plus 3 billion active mixture of experts. Also some model that we need to talk about. IBM came out with IBM Granite 4.1. IBM, the 100 plus something year old company in computing, I don't know how old IBM is at this point, came out with a family of 3B, 8B, and 30B dense non-thinking models. And they have vision in there and speech. IBM Guardian is part of this. BFCL, which is Berkeley Function Calling Leaderboard, I think, is 73. So they beat Gemma 31B on this. And very token efficient. Definitely very interesting news in open source. I'm pretty sure there's more. This is the top ones that I have. Folks, please send me more open source news so we'll cover them as well. Kind of open source-ish. Mistral Medium came out 3.5. It's 128 dense model. It's not an MOE. This is like one of the biggest dense models that we've seen in the past months. It's very expensive. Mistral also came out with Vibe. Mistral Vibe is kind of their coding thing with remote parallel agents and session teleport. So very interesting stuff from Mistral. And Baidu released Ernie 5.1 preview. It's also a big model from number one from a Chinese lab, above DeepSeek and Quen. And some folks are speculating it's 100 billion parameter, 36 billion active MOE. We're going to chat about Baidu Ernie as well. We mentioned Ernie before. This is Ernie 5.1. There's a bunch of other news in big companies and API in big companies. Let me pull them up. So obviously, it's kind of big news in companies, but we're still in the TLDR. The Elon Musk versus OpenAI trial is happening right now. Elon Musk is testifying for the third day in a row. We won't cover everything because it's really hard to catch everything that's going on there. We'll just tell you that this is like something that's happening, and there is coverage right now. Also in big labs, let me go find. There's the release about OpenAI's Goblin mode from GPT 5.5. We should at least mention that this is something that happens. Somebody found that Codex has instructions to never ever talk about goblin strolls, etc. And there's a whole discussion about why that is in GPT 5.5. So we will definitely chat about this. And also in big companies, I think it goes into big companies. Stripe sessions happened, and Stripe released a bunch of stuff. Specifically, Stripe released Link wallet for agents at sessions, giving AI agents their own payment credentials with human approval at every purchase. And I think this is huge news that I would love to tell you all about my experience about this and how my clanker got a credit card for me and went shopping. There's a new update to Gemini as well in big companies. So Gemini can generate and export docs, sheets, slides, and PDFs. Let's see what else is interesting. I think this is huge. OpenAI ends Microsoft Azure exclusivity and goes multi-cloud with AWS and other clouds. So for the longest time, since Microsoft invested the first $10 billion into OpenAI and Microsoft had an exclusivity clause. No longer. Now, if you're running on Bedrock, you can use OpenAI models and other models. This is huge for many startups that haven't been able to use OpenAI just because they're locked into AWS, for example. I think that's pretty much it on the big companies and APIs. Anything else from big companies that I missed, folks, that is must be talked about? All right. LDJ,
Yeah,
go
I
ahead.
think what's interesting with the exclusivity between Microsoft and OpenAI, there's also this portion, if you guys remember, that they mentioned basically it's up to 2032 or until OpenAI reaches AGI. And AGI would be determined by an independent panel and everything. And they actually dropped the AGI part. So they dropped that part of the clause. And then with this new contract that OpenAI has with AWS, apparently that contract now has this AGI clause. So it's interesting there.
Yep. Some folks are also commenting DeepSeek and Kimi. Not sure what's that about. Somebody send me a link. I want to see. But you guys know about any DeepSeek and Kimi rumors, news about merger or something like this? I've missed this. Inovos, thank you for
I
bringing
have
this
not
up.
heard that.
Yeah, but I would love a link. A rumored merge between DeepSeek and Kimi. That's very interesting. Alrighty, we'll welcome in Wolfram back, and then welcome to the show. Okay, so this week's Buzz, the corner where we talk to you about everything that happens in the world of weights and biases, CoreWeave, etc. We actually have IBM Granite is live on weights and biases inference at 5 cents per million tokens and 10 cents per output token. That's very, very cheap. That's cheaper than most our models. So go test them out. 128 context, Apache 2 license, OpenAI comparable endpoint. And also in news, Wolfram is going to talk about this, but Wolfbench is blowing up. I have a tweet about Wolfbench where we tested Cursor, and Cursor is now the top model harness. Sorry, GPT 5.5. With the Cursor harness is the top one, is the top combo that we've tested on Wolfbench AI. And that tweet is going kind of viral. The folks from Cursor are obviously loving this because they have a great, harness. So we'll chat about this. Wolfram, I would love to talk about Wolfbench and those results. It's really, really, really cool.
Always easy. Always easy to share when you are the number one.
100%. When you get number one, we'll tell you about Wolfbench as well in that section. We have a very big corner that we usually lately cover in AI coding and agentic engineering. Cognition, the company behind Devin, announced Devin for Terminal. It's a local CLI agent, which we haven't tested in Wolfbench yet, but we'll definitely get there because Devin is incredible as well. I'm really, really excited to see if Cursor beats Devin or if Devin beats Cursor. You can hand off to Cloud Devin also, and then close your laptop, and it just keeps going. Cursor that we've tested is just their CLI, but Cursor now has an SDK. I think it's a huge news, folks. Basically, Cursor now has a way for you to put Cursor in your apps, and Cursor SDK is blowing up, and people are building incredible things with it. OpenAI also has something like this, by the way. There's the Codex Apps server, and that's a very similar thing. You can just build things with with Codex App Server, but Cursor released their SDK, and it's only in TypeScript. But then Notion and Rippling and other folks are just like building inside Cursor. So they're building Cursor inside their products. I think it's very cool. This one also from Stripe, but this has been out there for a while. Stripe projects. Do you guys know about Stripe projects? So we're moving toward the agentic web, the agentic interface across everything. Stripe projects is this way for your agents to basically provision itself with every tool that you need, every API token that you need on its own. So like 32 companies now, providers are provisionable via Stripe projects, including paying for them. For example, your engine, your Clanker can now go and provision Cloudflare, and then browser-based and Daytona and Netlify and Auth0 and Algolia, all these things, and create an API key for itself and pay for itself. Like all of this is now automatable, so you don't have to sit there like me and Wolfram did beginning of OpenClaw excitement and said, okay, you need this API key, copy, paste, create this in this, save it in one password, give it to your OpenClaw. So Stripe project is like very, very cool. I wanted to talk about this for the longest time. We're Stripe heavy show this week, but definitely very interesting for agentic engineering. This one I mentioned, this is a very, very cool thing as well. Your agents can now use your credit cards in a secure way with a human gate in the beginning. Stripe Link is now has a CLI, and agent gets its own link payment credentials, and your real card is never exposed. They're giving it like a proxy card. I don't know how, and human approves for every purchase. This is sick. I yesterday did this with my Clanker, and we can do something, I think, on the show, and you guys won't even see my credit card because it's not exposed. So like we can actually go and ask our Clanker to, buy something, a subscription to Thursday, for example. Ooh, that'd be cool. That'd be cool. We'll definitely do that later in the show. Okay. GPT 5.5 Codex system prompt leaked. We mentioned this already in the TLDR, but somebody found Codex is open source. Nobody found. They just went to the GitHub repo and read this system prompt that the anti-creature instructions like never talk about goblins, gremlins, raccoons, trolls, Nistan, raccoons. GPT 5.5 cannot talk about raccoons. Trolls, ogres, pigeons. It appears twice. The viral X hit 5.5 or 3 million views, and people from OpenAI started commenting with goblins everywhere. So goblin mode, somebody already built goblin mode, so it unlocks it back. I think what else do we have? In voice and audio, we have 11 Labs launches 11 Music, which is kind of their Suno competitor. It's a full music platform where you discover and remix and create music. They say it's Spotify meets Suno, but with remix at its core. So you listen to tunes and you remix out, and they have a royalty model that they pay out tokens for. They pay out actual royalties for folks. So maybe we can listen to that. I think that'd be cool. Last week, I told you about hyperframes from HeyGen, which is a way to create video. And I actually told you that the 10-minute segment that starts the show was created with Claude and hyperframes. Now it's live inside Claude Design. So 2 weeks ago, or a week ago? I think it was a week ago. 2 weeks ago it released, but a week ago we also told you about Claude Design. Last week's show was crazy. I don't know if you guys caught up or not. Claude Design is this new UI from Claude, which is incredible, and the rate limits are ridiculous, so nobody can actually use this. But now you can create viral videos within Claude Design with hyperframes. I think it's very, very, very cool. You can do motion graphics based on your company's brand identity and guidelines. Okay, last but not least, our guest for today is going to be Max from Pangram, which released a Chrome extension that detects real-time AI content flagging when X, LinkedIn, Reddit, Substack, and Medium, and they claim 99.98% accuracy. And we will definitely talk with Max about that, because the whole area of AI writing detection has been murky. It wasn't clear if it's actually like a thing, if people do believe in AI detection, or if it's false. I think that this is most of the stuff that we want to talk about. Oh, DeepSeek paper. We must absolutely cover the DeepSeek paper. So in addition to the model, there's a DeepSeek paper with insane attention innovation, 1% KV cache, and 1 million context at 5 gigabytes, possibly first frontier model trained across multiple data centers. We must talk about the DeepSeek Center. I think that's pretty much it, folks. This is the show for today. I think let's start with open source, as we must cover at least the DeepSeek news. Yeah, let's do open source. I'm still waiting for folks from the comments to definitely send us comments as well. Nisna, you're sending us SenseNova demo. Okay, we'll look at this. All right, let's start with open source. Where's my open source? There you go. Open source AI, let's get it started. Alrighty, let's talk about open source. Listen, I think you start with SenseNova. This one is open source as well, right? Why don't we start there?
Yeah, we can. So I was just catching up. I just found out about this. This is a very, very strange model. So they had a paper at ICLR last year, but they didn't show a whole lot at that paper. And now they released a model, and I just tried it out on their website. So what they have done here is they have built a true multimodal. It's also an image generator. Yeah, I think you have to click on the Google. I just saw Google in there. Yeah, if you click the main button and there's a Google button, yeah, that's how I was able to log in.
Okay.
They have built a image generator like a true multimodal without a variable autoencoder. So I don't know how they do it on a per pixel basis. It's supposed to save the amount of tokens you need when you input an image. What I did here, I just typed in, hey, draw me a city on Mars with the exact statistics of Mount Olympus. You can just type in, by the way.
Oh, here?
Yeah, just directly. You can just say, draw me a city on Mars with the statistics of Mount Olympus.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a completely new architecture, and yes, it's an MOE and stuff too. But it looks like the mixture of experts, they route to the image generator part, and then they can combine both the text and the images very accurately. You have to refresh the page after a bit. It will take a bit for it to generate it.
I'll try again.
Yeah, or I can show it too, because yeah, the page went blank for me. And
yeah,
then,
it went blank.
And then I just hit refresh on it with that link, because I created a session link.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was able to do. But yeah, so when it's generating an image, it routes to both the text generator and the image generator part, and then it puts the image together. I need more time to actually look at how this works, but it does work. I just tried it. Very, very interesting, very experimental. I really like it. By doing it this way, you can dump in a lot more images into the. It looks like you can dump in a lot more images into the prompt itself.
So what are the innovations here? SenseTime with an open source. This is architecture. The architecture on this is wild. This is a SenseNova U1 unified multimodal model, 8 billion parameters with a 3 billion active MOE variant, both Apache 2 license. So what we're seeing now is an infographic that it created for us that looks very, very clean and nice, right? Is this 8 billion parameters? That's insane for 8 billion.
What? That's crazy.
Yeah, and the statistics are right, because I asked for something specific too. I was trying just stuff about Mount Olympus, and even like Nano Banana and stuff. It might not necessarily get that right right away, but it got it right. So that means this is working as it should.
This is an 8 billion parameter model doing things that models 4x size struggle with because of the text.
Do we have any other model in any size that is this coherent for image generation with text? I mean, maybe the largest, most powerful ones. I mean, that's perfect. The image is perfect. Look at this.
Yeah, this is like very, 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 very tight.
It can just do text too. It can just work as a regular LLM, and then it just routes to image generation experts, which is something you might think of. It's a nice idea, but then you would never be able to implement it. But they actually got all of that to work.
Yeah,
this is crazy to me.
I'm very impressed. Impressed. We should try one of my crazy infographics on it. And actually, you know what? I'll try to find the infographic that's created that they have. So let me show the infographic that I have created with Nano Banana for this. Let me see if I can reshare. This is the infographic that Nano Banana created for SenseNova. Okay. This is the infographic. As you guys can see, it's a beautiful Alex Figures infographic. It has a bunch of information here, including the architecture. The old approach for the architecture would be taking an image, running this to a visual encoder, then running this to an LLM, then running this to a VAE, and then generating an image. Unify architecture from Neo shoves pixels and words together into their unified model, and then they have an understanding and generation. So this is why we saw this coherent result. End-to-end pixel and world modeling is a single architecture, no separate components in it. That's why they're achieving the size. 8 billion model outperforming models that shove a whole LLM into kind of the image generator models. The infographics is wild. Look at this. Look at the size. Okay, so this infographic was created with Nano Banana. And I think while we talk about this a little bit more, I'll go and find the exact prompt for this one and then shove this into SenseNova, and then we'll see if it's creating an infographic about itself that's better or worse, and we'll compare it to the huge Nano Banana deal. How about that?
Yeah, so for example, with stuff like Flux 2, you need 60 gigs of RAM just to run it. And that's because just to interpret what your prompt said, it has to pass that through Mistral 24B. So there's a 24B model just there, just to kind of interpret the prompt and then start to feed it to the vision transformer, which is also transformer as well, to start to build the image as well. So you were always wasting time, and it always felt very crude in a way, or very hacked together. I mean, it does work pretty well, but
what's the trick?
What is that? That is the question here, because they have figured out there is some trick here going on.
Yeah, they figure out something big. I mean, that's not a little bit better. Seriously.
Yeah, I'm playing with it now. So again,
all right, we'll see.
It looks like the routing. Sorry, in the mixture of experts. See, it can do both regular. The routing can choose which tokens to pass. So the experts are no longer just to like divide up the MLPs or spread out the model. The experts are now specialized to just do the vision part, and that works somehow. So this is very cool.
This is very cool. Some stuff are failing for us, but while we try this very, very long prompt that we have, very detailed prompt, as you guys see, with very specific instruction following that we want. I didn't include my face for reference, so likely that will not show up as well. But LDJ, you had a comment? Go ahead while we wait for this to generate, and we'll move on to talk about DeepSeek.
Yeah, so there's actually similar research Meta did, I want to say last year, or maybe towards even the end of 2024, called... so there's Chameleon, and then work that they built on top of that called MoMA. Mixture, I think it stands for like mixture of modality aware experts. And that model does something similar to what you're describing, Niston, where they basically have modality specific experts, and they find that they can improve training efficiency overall with multimodal training while also doing that. And it can also generate images and all of that as well. So yeah, it seems like that line of research might be progressing.
Yeah, we should do a paper reading space or something on this for a deeper dive to actually get a feel, because yeah, for an 8 billion parameter model, this is huge, and I want it's a stack of tricks. It's always a stack of tricks that they have applied that have worked together.
Okay, so, we have a result, Niston. We can compare to Nano Banana. This is like a very long infographic. I think some prompting is needed here. So generally the structure is similar. So it got the Thursday right, it got the date and everything. But then the infographic itself is lacking a little bit. And I have a very specific, also like parts of it show up in Chinese. I think this model is like focused on Chinese specifically. I think we're like, forcing English out of it where it wasn't necessarily trained for. So this, this result is nowhere near the result that, of what Nano Banana gave us, obviously. So this is the Nano Banana result. You guys see?
Wait. It's not nowhere near.
It's just for 8 billion parameter, it's very impressive. Yeah. So structurally it's the same, but
it's just not correct information. But man, that's coherent. The graphics are nice.
Yeah, half of it is in Chinese. What are you talking about? Half of it.
It's readable, man. It's readable. I get what you're saying, absolutely. But like, okay, it's not readable. Okay, you got me. But I'm saying, I mean, I don't know. Compare it to DALL-E 2 or something. That's what you need to compare it. That's an 8 billion parameter, man. I mean,
that's true.
I'm surprised that it even got something like this.
All the recent image generation models are like intelligence models, and like the infographic says, they pass through the LLM. So both the Nano Banana Pros and GPT image is rumored to be GPT 5.5, by the way, with some image generation. That's why it's like so good. This is impressive. This is SenseNova U1, and I actually don't think we're getting the actual model, Niston, because when I click this guy, the SenseNova U1 demo, I think they need an invite to SenseNova U1 demo. So we could be testing the older model here and just like at the mercy of the Chinese translation. Interleaving images and text requires an invite code. So it doesn't look like we have that. So we may be testing the older model, by the way, just for sake of conversation.
Yeah, there is a model on Hugging Face, so we'll try it out and we'll update it. You're right, though. We might be testing.
We might be testing the older one, and then the newer one is even better. You can switch the whole thing into English, by the way, by clicking a button here. Okay, folks, time for us to talk about the big whale with some surprising results. So let's talk about DeepSeek. Let's bring up the infographic. Let's talk about DeepSeek. DeepSeek, the very the Chinese whale company that we've known and loved and told you about, that broke the internet and the stock market a year and something ago, came back with DeepSeek 4. Let me go find the DeepSeek announcement. This is the DeepSeek paper
and
itself.
It is kind of free, so everyone should absolutely use these tokens that they give you with 80% discount all over, being already like 30 times cheaper. So
Yeah,
everyone go burn some Chinese GPUs, please, while you still can, because it's not going to last for long because that thing is expensive to run. So
LDJ, you want to give us a little bit of thoughts about DeepSeek?
Yeah, like speaking of hardware and RAM, actually. So when it comes to long context, it tends to be a pretty RAM memory intensive operation, especially every doubling of context. Traditionally, you would have basically multiplying by 4 for every doubling of context you do. You'd have this rapidly growing rate. With DeepSeek v3.2, they already had some significant improvements there. It was significantly lower than what you would normally have with regular attention and everything. But with DeepSeek v4 Pro that they just announced, it's so dramatic where you can get 1 million token context, and it seems to actually be at the scale of practical to have millions of tokens of context locally now. Because here you would be having less than 20 extra gigabytes of storage you need to store for memory, but millions of tokens of context you could have.
That's crazy. Why do you guys think that this didn't get as much attention as R1, or at least broke through the barrier as R1? Because it does look like absolutely craziness, right? MIT licensed 1 million context window. It's huge, so it's not like running locally, because it's what 1.6 total parameters. Well, this is not a local model. This is open source model. But I also didn't see a lot of inference folks jumping on this and serving DeepSeek. I think there was a bunch of issues, and then Fireworks ended up running this. What do you guys think about why this didn't break through the barrier of kind of open source?
Well, in terms of capabilities and benchmarks, compared to Kimi and the other ones, back when R1 first dropped, like its lead compared to the others in open source was pretty large. And even 01 that was released by OpenAI just a few months prior, like that didn't really have any competition either, like even in closed source.
Yeah.
And so R1 just kind of came in, and it was better than, from what I recall, even what Anthropic was offering, even what Google was offering. And now at this point, when they're releasing this model, it's still pretty good, and then having these cool research advancements involved. But Kimi is pretty similar in capabilities. The best Quen model is not too different in capabilities either. I would say the main improvement here, though, is these algorithmic improvements in the KV cache and how efficiently they could do long context.
Yep. So I think the long context is definitely the thing. I have the paper, DeepSeek paper preview here. Let me go find this. I think it's here. And I think that this is like a big deal for let me go find our notes while I'm fighting with them. I think that this is a very big deal. Let me pull this up. This is from a thread by Eugene Chia, a friend of the pod. as Innovus, our commenter here, says, DeepSeek is not very exciting on the surface because of the capability on evals, but it's like incredibly intriguing because of the architecture that goes in there. So specifically, this infographic is very, very interesting. So Llama 3 is 405 billion parameters, and it weighs 500 gigs. DeepSeek is just 5.7 gigabytes. Is that no? That makes no sense. What is this?
So that's just the memory for that the context takes up.
I see. Because of the KV cache optimizations.
Yeah, I think what they're saying with that 500 gigabytes for Llama, I think they're saying if you were to push it all the way to like 1 million tokens of context, that's how much memory it might take up. Because it truly is even a year ago or two, you have with traditional attention, like it could literally even be terabytes of memory if you're running millions of tokens of context, like just a terabyte or more just for the context alone.
This is insane. Then this is absolutely insane. Native 1 million context length. I think that like most open source still use Yarn to extend to 1 million, right? LJ, that this is like a native 1 million that can run is also like fairly novel.
Yeah, so Yarn would be a technique that you do in training to get the model to use long context better, and then this is more of a technique that you could basically use this with Yarn. It's not something that replaces Yarn or things like that.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Any other comments, folks? Any other comments about DeepSeek and the paper? Anybody read anything? So we can talk about pricing. Yam, you said like it's fairly free. The price is 30 to 100x cheaper than GPT 5.5, but I'm not sure that you're gonna get as much out of it as from GPT 5.5. But it's definitely something that you can run.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm also interested in like what kind of speed improvements they're getting, because they did make a whole bunch more other innovations there that we might kind of be glossing by. So because they claim something like 4x speed improvement at longer context.
So we have here 180 to 240 tokens per second sustained at 900k context. So it's super long context.
Yeah,
so
that's
very impressive.
It's just it's hard to find B200s anywhere now to actually run this. So that's that's the bigger issue here. Yeah.
I think something here that is underrated as well, worth mentioning, with the benchmarks you see here. So this model is trained with it's a FP4 NVFP4 quantization aware training, and so the native weights, if I saw right, it's a vast majority of it is in essentially 4-bit, and only some of them I think are in 8-bit or 16-bit. And what that translates to is you basically have the model natively quantized, and the benchmarks that you see, I'm pretty sure, are actually in that format of where it's like mostly essentially FP4. And so you end up having, usually when people see Kimi benchmarks or things like that, I forgot if they train in something more like 8 or 16-bit precision, but it's usually a much higher precision than what people quantize and compress it to run on their own computer. And so for the Flash model, I think DeepSeek V4 Flash is 250 billion parameters, something around there. And so that's something you could at least run on like the Mac Studios. And the quantization, the compressed form of it, that's the capabilities you could actually expect in the benchmarks is running locally.
So we have, thanks, LJ. We have a few more things here that kind of like highlight the craziness of this release. And though it did go under the surface a little bit, it does seem like DeepSeek are extremely cracked in engineering and innovation. The notes say the new CSA plus HCA attention mechanisms uses 10% of the flops compared to the multi-layer attention MLA and 7% of the KV cache. 7% of the KV basically lets them 10x the context length on the same compute and VRAM budget. This is absolutely insane. And here's the wild part. Maybe the first frontier model that was trained across multiple data centers with split expert training where different data sets were trained separately, possibly in different locations, and then merged back via distillation. Using Mu1 optimizer from Kimi, FP4 MOE training, and tile-length kernels, which they open sourced. this says, even true shaded NVIDIA saying that Kublas isn't accurate enough for batch invariance. I have no idea what this means. But the efficiency innovations are like all over here. And it does not look like they benchmarked this model very like many other like releases from some Eastern teams. Does not look like a benchmarks, even though the craziness is definitely here. So shout out to DeepSeek once again for bringing crazy stuff. Any comments on the first frontier model trained across multiple data centers? I don't know how true this is. Like, just because I'm reading this from the reports, don't kind of other big labs train across multiple data centers? Do we know this?
I just had a model called Psyche.
Oh well, yeah, that's distributed.
Yeah, but News was that. I think that was like a 7B, and then I think they did a 20B version too.
Yeah,
and then Prime Intellect also had one or two such models. But this is probably definitely the largest scale model trained with multi-data center stuff.
Nistan, you had an additional comment before we move on?
Google can do that because their infrastructure is set up that way. But this clearly looks like it's a software optimization. Pretty cool.
With distillation.
Pretty interesting.
All right, so let's move on to the last piece of LG. Go ahead, last one, and then we'll move on to IBM Granite.
Yeah, sorry, I was just gonna add a correction to what I said. When I say probably the largest multi-data center training, I mean in open source at least.
Yeah,
in closed source there might be much larger.
That's what I felt like in closed source in Frontier Labs they might do some stuff, but we'll see. Okay, so let's talk about the next piece of news quickly here. IBM releases Granite 4.1. It's a dense, non-thinking model with best-in-class tool calling, is what they call this. We have this up on Weights and Biases because of partnership with IBM, I'm assuming, at 5 cents per input token and 10 cents per million output tokens. Granite, it's very interesting to release a non-thinking model, but they're beating their own previous MOEs with just 8 billion parameters and getting 73 on BFCL tool calling, topping Gemma. Token efficiency, 8 billion parameters, uses 4 million output tokens in artificial analysis eval suite versus 78 million for Qwen 9B. So because this is not a thinking model, probably Wolfram, if you correct me if I'm wrong, but this is why it's using significantly less thinking models for artificial analysis, a 20x difference. So as you know, the reasoning models tend to reason a lot, and we saw this in benchmark, we saw this everywhere, and this is the tokens that you still pay for. Output tokens, they're more important tokens, but this one being non-reasoning model still performs well. The era of non-reasoning models feels like it passed to me, like still most of the stuff that we do for Agentic is the reasoning, and it helps. So it's very interesting to see folks releasing non-reasoning models. What else is interesting here? The whole pitch is enterprise production, not benchmark chasing. Apache 2.0 license, 128K context window. Vision that beats Cloud Opus 4.6 on table extraction, speech that outperforms Whisper Large 3 on transcription. IBM is saying, here's the full stack, it's open efficient. So they have speech in here, they have vision instruction as well. Very, very impressive from IBM. But Granite speech outperforms Whisper Large. I would say I'm kind of tired of seeing this outperforms Whisper Large v3. Whisper Large came out like 2.5 years ago. No other like big innovation in the voice of in the world of transcription apparently. So everybody compares themselves to Whisper Large. It's time that we have a new standard for to beat in the voice and transcription.
It shows how entrenched it is, how it is everywhere and supported by everything. So you usually have a whisper in there. So that's why they compare, because
that's true.
It is still standard, basically. Takes a long time for better technology to propagate if it's so entrenched.
Yep. So artificial analysis provided a independent eval for this. Let's take a look at that. This is the new Instruct model, so not reasoning model, Instruct model. Granite 4, there's a few versions here, Granite 30B, Granite 8B, and then Granite 3B. The release continues. IBM focus on small, efficient, open models. We'll applaud. Like everybody who releases open source models, it's definitely a win from us. This needs to continue, and we're very happy. So shout out to IBM for this. despite the fact, but all Granite models scored 61 on official analysis openness index, standing out among pure open weights non-reasoning models. So full open weights under Apache 2, partial disclosures about pre-training data, post-training data, and methodology. I want to shout out artificial analysis for like highlighting open source as well, because there's one thing of this model is the best at evals, but there's a completely other thing is like it's the best at evals, and they gave us the data set and training recipe because this helps everyone. Let's see how it fares on the artificial analysis openness index. And I think specifically about output tokens, this was the big deal. That you can see the Granites on the left here received 8 and 10 scores on artificial analysis. Oh, Granite 8B even received the 12. But compared to the output tokens, it's the absolutely like Pareto frontier of output tokens compared to like Gemma and Mistral and others, especially compared to Quen. You guys can see Quen here on the right side with over 67 million tokens to get to the same high quality results. So shout out to IBM. Where can you get this model? Well, if you want, you can get it on Weights and Biases. Artificial Analysis actually shouted us out. Look at this. It's beautiful. At 5 cents per million input tokens and 10 cents per output tokens. So definitely look us up to get that model. Should we talk about Mistral next? It's kind of open source, but not really. Let's talk about Mistral next, and then we'll move on to other exciting news. Mistral launches Medium 3.5. I'm not quite sure if this is on Hugging Face though. It should be, yeah? Yeah, where it's on Hugging Face, MIT license, but modified MIT license. Mistral launches Medium 3.5, 128 dense flagship model with 256K context window. And the vibes are not good. And it's very interesting that, you know, I'm using this infographic from Nano Banana. He's usually very excited. You can look at this guy's face, and this kind of sums the whole deal. And I'm sure this was not planned. This is just like just the outcome. I don't think that in the prompt, but like you can see this guy's face and see this is not as as exciting. You can see Inos in comments saying it's ancient architecture, like adding cartwheel to a car does not make any sense. I'll still shout out Mistral. Like it's still you know, mixture like MIT license, but why would they not release a mixture of expert at this size? It's not clear. And I think the whole release is marred with this question of why release a dense model at this size that underperforms and also is very, very significantly more expensive than other models of this size. Folks, any comments on this? Have you seen this release at all? Did it even come through on your feeds, or did it like not even catch the mark? Wolfram, I want to hear from you about this one.
Yeah, like you said, the size is a problem. It is too big to run it locally. The architecture is a bit older, and we had so great releases from DeepSeek, from Quen, and so on. So you have the Quen models for the local use, you have the DeepSeek and the Kimi K2.6 for the online use with more context, which is very important for agentic and coding and so on. So unfortunately, there's not one thing where you would say, oh, this is better than the others and we have to have it. You know, it's great to have an open source model, but who is going to use it?
It's $1.5 for a million tokens in input and 7.5 for output. This is this GPT 5.5 levels, a little bit less, but you're definitely not going to get the same output you're going to get this from GPT 5.5 from Mistral. So I don't understand who this model is for. I really don't get who this model is referring to or like focused on. We know that Mistral is targeting kind of the European market, but even there, I mean, even Europeans can use OpenAI. So I'm really missing the mark on this one. Mistral, what are you doing? You have incredible models and agentic people. Why this release? Nissan, do you have any comments on this?
Well, at first I thought it was an MOE, and I looked at the benchmarks, and I was about to post that they cooked, because the benchmarks are actually not that bad at all. Like, yeah. They're very good, but at 128B, it's just going to be so slow that no one's going to be really using it. Now, Mistral themselves, they can serve it because they have that partnership with Cerebras. So they can serve it very fast. And yeah, it actually wasn't bad at coding though. Like at 77 SWBench, I don't know what SWBench Pro is, but it was not bad. But yeah, again, a llama style attention in 2026 is somewhat outdated tech here.
Yeah. Yep. I think that's it. That's all we're gonna like spend time on Mistral, talking to Mistral. Folks, I think it's time to move on to kind of like bigger companies. Ernie, let's talk about Ernie. I think that's like this is a very interesting conversation piece about Ernie, and then from Baidu, because this is 13 on Arena Text leaderboard and number 1 among the Chinese labs. So let's cover Ernie a little bit. Baidu's Ernie 5.1 preview. It's number 13 on Arena Text leaderboard. So here's the top leaderboard on Arena, where people blindly choose between a few things. Claude Opus 4.7 is topping this Arena. 4.6 is after it, and the regular 4.6 after that. And then Gemini, Muse Spark is getting a very, very high number. We talked about Muse from Meta Superintelligence Labs a little bit, but we didn't cover this fully. So very good to see it's here. And then all of these are GPTs, and Grok for some reason also is here. I don't know why. And then Ernie is the number 1 kind of text on this Arena that's not from the Western labs. So Ernie is China's new number 1. Hits global top 13 with just 6% of the compute of the labs. This is efficiency basically in one story. 6% of the comparable pre-training compute to other models. 800 billion in total. Don't believe this is on the hub. It's closed source, right? Ernie.baidu.com. So this is kind of the big labs Chinese alternative. Above DeepSeek, above Qwen, above all the other Chinese competition, above Kimi Moonshot. I don't know if it makes sense for us, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but like I don't know if it makes sense for us for a closed model to actually talk about the number of parameters, because I think they're rumored. Nobody actually knows because they didn't release the weights. But this model is very impressive from China. And seeing their competition not only in open source, which we're used to seeing. We're used to seeing the Chinese labs just do open source for us. It's very interesting. Let's see.
One thing about the Chinese labs, when they do the closed source models running on their own architecture, I think that is not so interested to the Western people going there, putting it in, sending our data there. I mean, a lot of people are already conscious enough about doing it with ChatGPT, and now going to China. I think it's one thing if you run the model locally and you know what is happening, and if you just go to some external service in a different country.
So I will say, definitely, it's very interesting to at least mention, right? Because the Chinese competition is not only in open source. There's like a whole host of folks in China that use like the closed source model. But it's very least interesting for our audience, because why would you use this if it's comparable pricing, for example, to GPT? Why would you send your information to China? I think Wolfram is that what you're highlighting. Right. All right, folks. I think we're moving on from this to big companies and APIs. Let's talk about Goblin Mode. Yam, I know you wanted to talk about Goblin Mode, but especially because they released the blog post. I don't know if you guys seen the blog post. But how about you present this piece of news and then we'll talk about Goblin Mode, because this is still in big companies and APIs.
Sure.
And while I find the actual blog post.
Sure. That's pretty simple, actually. If you talk for 2 seconds with any of the GPT-5 family of models, you would start sensing that it chooses an odd set of words from time to time to say simple things. For example, which got pretty famous, GPT 5.5 really likes to use the metaphor of goblins and creatures from fantasies in general, to the point where OpenAI included it twice in the system prompt begging so the model will not use any of these creatures in front of the users, because how would you even explain this to the users? Oh, and everything is open source in the harness, in Codex harness. So people just found out immediately that there is something odd about the system prompt and start talking about it. And OpenAI, shout out to OpenAI for immediately releasing a blog explaining this, because obviously they also noticed this, and they probably all discussed this in the office, like, what the hell is going on? The blog basically just specify that there are certain features the model is specifically trained for, certain product features. One of them is the customized personality. This personality can be a nerdy personality. That's one of the personalities that is already baked in during training. And the nerdy personality just gets in in a twisted way, it kind of gets a reward for using metaphors for from fantasy because it's nerdy. And these metaphors tend to include goblins and gremlins and fantastic creatures. And the thing is that throughout the RL training, this reward kind of got amplified and spread throughout the entire behavior of the model. And now, and it started, just being quite funny. But at the end, the model as a whole just completely adopted this behavior because this reward just got amplified and so baked into the model, and it just uses it all the time. No,
I want to highlight this for folks who may just be listening. We're showing the OpenAI blog about goblins, and this is Jakub Poczewski, head scientist of OpenAI, saying this is a screenshot from their Slack. It's saying, for what it's worth, I think I might have gotten a goblin when I asked for a unicorn in ASCII art, and this is really, really funny. This is absolutely looks like a goblin dressed as a unicorn in ASCII art. It's very interesting, also from the perspective of like, these guys are building super intelligence that's supposed to save us all, and here some series of rewards stacked on each other suddenly made the models speak in a very specific way, enough so that in Codex, this is how this was like released. They had two instructions after one after another saying, do not speak about goblins and other creatures, do not speak about goblins and other creatures. Apparently we can learn that if you really want something in system prompts, you can repeat it twice. But you guys not even remotely, how to say, not scared by this, but like remotely worried that the company that's supposed to know what they're doing suddenly discovers these like capabilities of the model or tendency of the model to talk about the things they didn't mean to? I think it's very, very, it could be concerning. And since November, they saw it, GPT 5.1 launch, and they could have started earlier. Users complained about the model being oddly overfamiliar, which prompted an investigation into specific verbal tics. A safety researcher had experienced a few goblins and gremlins and asked that they be included in the check. When looked, the use of Goblin in ChatGPT has risen by 175% after the launch of GPT 5.1, while Gremlin had risen 52%. 175% more use of Goblin than before after GPT 5.1 thinking. It's really funny. it's really funny. This is in part what explains the quirkiness. Go ahead, Jan.
I just want to highlight how they found it. They pretty much, I mean, it's pretty insightful to see how simple the method is. They just correlated the use of Goblin with all sorts of things. And one of them throughout the investigation, and one of them was using the nerdy personality that was trained into the model. And immediately they saw like 4,000% increase in usage. So that's in general, that's a pretty cool way to find just to find how a model behaves based on what, if you have things you suspect and you suspect to be the case. And I just want to say that the feedback loop in general is, by the way, it's a great blog post, and a huge shout out to OpenAI for releasing this like a day after.
very transparent and full
yeah.
on. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Shout out to OpenAI in general about the entire month or 2 months, I think, for all the resets of the usage and just releasing good models and respecting their users. Wink, wink. Didn't say anything. I just want to say the feedback went this way. Playful behavior is being rewarded. Surprise, surprise. These rewards are then exemplified in more examples that have this distinctive use of words. And then it's more in more rollouts. It's being amplified more into the training set. Then you do supervised fine tuning, basically just baking it much harder into the model because you take the good rollouts of the model as good examples, things you want to do, and then you just bake them in even harder into the model, and then you get the next version of the model even more goblin coded. Like you do it with GPT-4 5.4,
It amplifies
and then
itself for sure.
5.5 is insanely more.
So here's what they say. Yeah, here's what they say on the blog. Unfortunately, 5.5 started training before we found the root cause of goblins, which is an insane sentence on its own to just like literally put in the blog of a $1 trillion company. Unfortunately, we trained this new series of models before we found out the root cause of the goblins. Literally, somebody wrote this on the blog. I love this. When we began testing 5.5 in Codex, OpenAI employees immediately noticed a strange affinity to goblins, and we added developer prompt instruction to mitigate. Codex is, after all, quite nerdy. If you want to let the creatures run free, I will shout out and commend the OpenAI person for this one thing. If you want to let the creatures run free in Codex, you can run this command to launch Codex with the goblin suppressing instructions removed. So technically, you can launch Codex like this, and then you'll have goblins. I love this. Speaking of this very, very long and detailed blog written very fast after the incident, I wish there was some way to know whether or not GPT 5.5 assisted them in writing this. And for this, we will invite our next guest to the show, Max Spiro. Welcome. Max is from Pangram Labs. How are you doing, Max?
Hey, good. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. I've been wanting to talk to you for a while, but I think before I introduce you, I'll do this thing. I'll select this whole text. I'll click right, and I'll do check for AI content. Oh, you guys don't see my menu, but hopefully you'll see this thing that shows up. And then we're going to run this whole blog from OpenAI through Pangram Labs to see that, according to Pangram, this is 100% human written. And this is great.
All right. That's awesome.
This is awesome. But the ability for me to do this is kind of why I wanted to bring you on to talk about Pangram. But also I wanted to talk about just AI content detection in general. So how about we start with the fact that this is your first time on the show. Please introduce yourself and then introduce Pangram Labs. And then we can chat about this whole area. That's very exciting.
Cool. Hey, my name is Max. I'm one of the founders of Pangram. I have a background in machine learning. I've been training large ML models at Google and Stanford before that. We started Pangram about 2.5 years ago, thinking about like the second order effects of AI and how to help mitigate some of the harms that could come from a proliferation of powerful AI models. And so that's how we landed on detectability as a research angle. And so we've really been, working hard on the research side. We've published several papers on arXiv. The team was just at iClear last week, and I think we've like made several breakthroughs. So we have the most advanced AI detection model out there, and then we also have a bunch of like surface areas where you can use it. So we have this Chrome extension where it'll automatically tag posts on your feed as AI or human written.
So we're definitely going to chat about the Chrome extension as a product feature because I think it's like very, very interesting. I think I sent you something similar. I built some like LLM detection for overuse of a certain word, for example. I noticed on X, if you like click on one thing that talks about the hot topic, Grok then shoves 17,000 of these like the same tweets about the same topic on your feed, and then I always wanted to know like how many slot merchants there are. But before this, Max, I have to address something, and maybe it's worth like that's why I want to bring you on because you work in this. the whole area of detecting whether or not something is AI written or not is kind of murky. There were efforts before, maybe your competitors, maybe, but you, I don't know. GPT-0 famously did not do anything. So everybody's kind of like dunking on some of these efforts by like literally showing, hey, I generated this text with GPT, sending this to an AI detection, and the AI detection says 100% human. Where are we? Where are you guys in this? Where is the industry in this? Can folks actually rely on some of these tools, or is it like false positive first? Can you talk and address this kind of like big thing? Because I think many people since like 2 years ago haven't updated on the whole context of these things and still don't believe that AI detection is possible.
Absolutely. So there are a lot of AI detectors that are very inaccurate. You could put in the Declaration of Independence and it says 100% AI.
That is like the famous like example.
Yeah, it's really easy to dunk on them. It doesn't happen on Pangram, but like you can find the worst ones on the internet and use them and get obviously bad results. But what we've done at Pangram is taken a really big focus on false positives. So many AI detectors have a 5% false positive rate or higher. Pangram has a 1 in 10,000 false positive rate. So that means if Pangram tells you that something is AI, you can be very confident that it was largely AI generated, or at least like heavily AI assisted. On the flip side, not everything that's AI generated gets caught by Pangram. If I ask ChatGPT, answer this question with yes or no, it'll say yes, but like it's impossible to know that yes was written by AI. So what we do is we have a 50-word minimum, but Pangram works the best with 200 words or more. And basically, like the longer the document is, the more certainty and confidence we can build up on the origin of the document by basically looking at the decision trees and how well it matches up with other pieces of AI content that we've seen.
So just to reiterate, if Pangram says with a certain percent of confidence that something is AI, we can trust that it's in fact was generated with AI. So you don't miss the shots that you do take, let's say, but you don't catch all AI written. So if, for example, I don't know, Opus 4.7 comes out and they retrained the conversation, then somebody runs this through. Somebody before in the comments said that there's a humanizer skill that kind of removes some stuff. So if somebody like tries to avoid, you guys are not claiming that you'll catch with 100% certainty all AI content.
Definitely not. And yeah,
but the one that you do highlight, you're 100% like you're very, very, very certain. 1 in 10,000, you said. Miss rates?
Yeah, 1 in 10,000 false positive rate.
That's very impressive.
So if you go to like the Twitter page of a slot peddler who just puts out a bunch of like AI summaries of archive papers, like you're going to be able to tell very quickly.
Something that we'll do literally right now. I know there's a very specific one that you always mention. That we know. Let me pull up this guy. I think it's called Akash, right? Akash Gupta.
Yeah.
Yes. Very famous slot merchant.
Unintentional nemesis, but I mean, this guy's like one of the like top 10 technology writers on Substack. He is
really good, but everything that they put out is AI. Just literally everything. This is AI. This is AI. So maybe it's worth saying to folks what's happening here and how I have this like I have it muted. I can't. Maybe it's worth talking about the Chrome extension kind of like packaging of this. So Pangram has existed for a while. People can post full articles. I actually do this when I use models, and I try to do handwritten newsletters for Thursday always, but sometimes I'm out of time, or sometimes I'm hitting like a writer's block. So I try to like work with the Claude to give me some ideas, and then I run it through Pangram to see like how if I got through AI assistant mode. So maybe before we get to the Chrome extension, let's talk about like the AI assistant versus full AI written. Could you give us that kind of differentiation within Pangram? Like, why is that important? How you guys build this, and what confidence levels are there?
Yeah, so I think the way we see the future going is text is going to be more and more AI assisted. Like in Google Docs already, there's like, I'm pretty sure it's either like tiny versions of Gemini or something giving like word suggestions. It's gotten much more advanced from like the past autocomplete. And so what we want to do is we want to be able to differentiate between something that was like largely human written, but maybe AI assisted a bit, versus something that is just like straight up generated from a prompt, right? So we've done this in our latest paper called Edit Lens, where we basically have multiple prompt schemes. So not only do we have fully generated text in our training set, we also have AI edits. For example, we ask ChatGPT anything from like make this text more formal to like help improve this text or expand it or paraphrase it or summarize it. And so we have a bunch of these prompts, and then we're measuring the cosine distance between the original text and then the new prompt. And so this is how we get AI assisted. I think the place where you see it come up most often is actually AI translations. So like if you ask Grok to translate something to Japanese, then like it could come back as AI assisted, which is the intended behavior. And we're looking to really like also just expand our performance here and get like be even more precise in describing the degree of AI assistance that we believe.
Yeah, Max. I have a few follow-up questions. We'll get to growing state. I really want to talk. I really do want to talk about this. Is the intended uses of AI detection? Because I think since ChatGPT came out, you know, the education system is on the fritz. Everybody's like freaking out. All the students are just like dumping the teacher's quest into ChatGPT and literally just verbatim pasting this. And like competitors didn't really work well. Was sold to educators to like detect whether or not like students are using AI, whatever. I think we're past that world now. I think it's very clear to teachers and students that everybody's just like using ChatGPT for everything. What is the intended use or the main intended use that you guys see for like detection that false positives are like the prevailing way? So you cannot like catch all AI assistant content, but the ones that you do, you know for sure.
I think the role of AI detection is to restore trust in this, like, you know, the like today's internet and like networks of untrusted communication, where I think you're much more often today going to come across something and you don't know if you could trust it. In the past, there were signals of if this post is long and well written and correctly formatted, surely like somebody put together a lot of time and like this is a well researched piece that's based on like a human opinion. And nowadays, if I see something that's long and well written, well, I really just like don't know if it was like a 1 second prompt out of ChatGPT or if it was like actually something that's well researched, right? And so I think there's a lot less trust going on the internet, and I'm worried that with the rise of agents and like, you know, people having their OpenClaw go and like, you know, create GitHub issues and post on Reddit and like we're in the very early stages of the proliferation of AI agents, and I think I could very well see a world where if we don't have any protection against AI content, every open system on the internet could just be completely overrun by AI.
It's kind of what happens to GitHub right now. They posted the charts that we probably should pull up that GitHub is getting 15x or something of the total PR volume of last year in just like the beginning of this year. And a lot of it is AI agent assistant. Everybody's running sub agents. For writing specifically though, the communities that we're on, the, you know, X and Substack and Reddit and GitHub, like you said, GitHub mentions, definitely I would like to know that I have the ability to say if this was a person or not. I will say though, you know, my clankers opened up a bunch of pull requests in my name, kind of like the stuff that we wanted to work on together, and they opened. So I don't think it's generally like a bad category of things. It's just like it would be helpful to know, and I don't want to hide my agents. Yeah.
And I'm the same way of like, I just want to know. Like I use AI all the time. I use LLMs. I read AI writing all the time because I ask Claude a question and then I get an answer. Yeah. So there's nothing inherently wrong with AI writing, but I do want to know because that changes how I approach reading and like understanding a piece of text.
Yeah. The thing that happens to me, Max, I want to hear from you, and then we'll move on to the Chrome extension as well, is that I often read something because it looks like somebody like invested time in reading this. My brain is still hardwired like that on X, and then I was like, oh, this is AI written, and I'm getting so annoyed.
It's disappointing, right?
It is disappointing like at that point because I invested time, and had I known before, I was like, I either skip this or, you know, if it's a summary of an important thing, I know for a fact, like, you know, most of this is summary of AI based. This is my notes for this show. There's no way that I'd be able to run through that much content for the show on my own without like any summarization. We know AI is a great summary, so why not? Like, I would read this as well. So I think that's definitely the disappointing part is helpful. So let's walk through the Chrome extension you guys released. Yeah, go ahead, Wolfram. Yeah, please.
Because I also see the opposite. I sometimes see a post by a human that is not well written, and I think, why didn't they take at least a bit of time to have AI do a pass over it and stuff like that? So my own posts, basically, I do not let AI just post or anything. But when I write something, I write it myself, and then always do a pass of AI to improve it. I even have a hotkey for this, improve the formulations I'm using and stuff. So it's always working with the AI to get a final output that I want to basically undersign and say, this is my post. But I take the time to always pass it through AI to get some input.
And I think that's a great use case. Although I think there's a tension as well of like, you know, some people talk about a future where like I write 2 bullet points and then, you know, my AI expands it into a long flourishy email, and then somebody else in their inbox, their AI agent, will summarize that back into bullet points. Like, this is a like lossy communication. I just want somebody to send me the 2 bullet points of what they wanted to say.
I have an opinion on this, because if you do this, if there's a big mail you get and your assistant just condenses it down to the 2 bullet points, you still have all the information in the context where you can ask about it. And if you are not clear what it meant, the 2 bullet points, if there is more information contained, then you could get it, especially if it's an agent that knows a lot about the person who they write the mail for. Like when you make notes for yourself or for a teammate, your teammate may need much more information, which is distracting. But if you give them a condensed summary, they may lack some information. So if the summary gets created by your own assistant, you still have the chance to ask about the information that is not directly visible.
You know, that's fair. And I think that would be like a good future where, like, you know, the agents are able to provide enough context beyond just like making something more polite and fluffier.
So let's talk about some like AI assisted writing. Specifically, we mentioned the specific person. Can I say no shade for just 1 second? Akash Gupta, I think he used to work at Google before or something like AIPM. I think very quickly turned around his newsletter and completely scaled it with AI. And you can see that every time that I scroll on his feed, I have this little like AI generated like AI like tag, and this is from the Pangram Chrome extension that you guys launched. So Max, talk to me about like why, after having a product out there, this Chrome extension exists, and what are you guys like trying to achieve with it?
Well, so I think on like in the short term, the value for the people using it is that, like, you know, I want to know if something's AI before I like spend my time like investing my time in reading it, but I'm not going to go like copy paste every single post into Pangram. Like, I think that's just like unreasonable. With that said, and of course, like, you might see like some Akash Gupta posts come back as human.
There's one here that I noticed. And Pangram did miss this. And I'm pretty sure
Pangram doesn't catch everything, and that's sort of like the point of it. But like, if we say that's AI, then you can be very confident in that.
Okay,
so I think on the like local level, it's much more useful if Pangram lives where you work. And then on the meta level, I think we can do a lot of interesting things by understanding like the full network of like AI content, like who's posting it, what sort of engagement does it get. And I think there's a lot of interesting research that this unlocks as well.
Let's talk about the Substack experiment Taylor Lawrence ran. I think you posted about this as well.
So she ran a experiment where she basically scanned like a bunch of posts from all of the top Substacks, and she posts a ton. So like, good luck finding that. You might be better off going to me. Oh yeah, that's pretty good too.
Okay, there it is.
Yes, this is it. But basically, she found like different industries have adopted AI at a very different rate. So like technology Substacks, there's a lot of AI, and I'm sure a lot of what she saw may have been Akash Gupta. Whereas other types of Substacks like fiction were really just like had much lower AI usage. Some of the interesting ones were like health. Like I didn't expect health to have so much health Substacks to have so much AI in them.
Yeah.
I also think like culture and world politics, like what are people like looking for here? But I think what we are seeing is just like this growth of I think maybe two sides. One is like people using AI to assist their writing, and then also a number of like near or 100% AI Substacks as well.
And those are on technology are obviously scaling because the people who can get to a level of automation with technology are probably going to write about like technology stuff, and that's what's interesting for them
technology
as well.
People are early adopters.
Yeah. I think it's very funny that the bestseller content in technology has most AI generated. More than 1 in 4 top posts is substantial level of AI content. And again, this is only the stuff that you guys catch. You guys don't catch everything. So I think that's like a very, very interesting research. How do you think that this graph looks in a year, Max?
I mean, I think it's probably going to be up maybe like 10-15%. It might look a bit flatter. Like I think the other categories might start to catch on, but I also feel like the readers are different. So like I think fiction readers just they don't want to read AI content. There's enough like good fiction out there that AI content is like a little bit more mode collapse, a little bit less like creative or unique or interesting.
Yeah.
But I think we are going to start to see this like divide between people who, don't care what they read and people who feel very strongly like, I don't want to be seeing AI content everywhere. Like I see Pangram as akin to like an ad block for the internet where it can help you parse through what you're seeing and improve the signal to noise ratio of what you see.
So speaking of ad block, is there a feature for me to hide the stuff that is AI generated yet?
Not currently, no. If you see the AI icon, you can just scroll past faster, or mute and block. I've seen some people who go on and they're able to actually totally clean up their feed. So the Chrome extension also gives you a little feed health score where you could say like you could see.
I actually want to see mine. So let's go and show this.
We can see what percentage of your feed is AI generated.
Oh yeah.
I know you just scrolled through Akash Gupta, so it might be a little.
Yeah, it's probably skewed.
If you go to the Pangram icon, then at the very top, feed health. Open.
I see it, but for some reason it doesn't work for me.
You might need to share your window.
It's because the way that I'm sharing this, and I think we'll skip. But I need to like look at mine just because I think it's very interesting, the feed health portion of it. All right, Max, I do want to talk about kind of like the arms race here as well. It's like a cat and mouse game that you're obviously playing, right? And your guys are very clear, like we're not catching everything, but I think it would be great if you guys would catch everything. So how and what are you doing when there's like the humanizers and the paraphrasers and mixed authorship stuff? Tell us about like what else is Pangram planning in the future to catch up with, like, hey, we're not catching everything.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is this like perpetual adversarial game, very similar to like cybersecurity or viruses or spam. But I think our goal is continue to hire great researchers and get ahead of the game. I think some of the things that we're really interested in is looking on a like more granular level. Like, can I tell you on a per sentence by sentence basis, like, was this generated or assisted by AI? Obviously, you don't have like perfect signal. The shorter the text gets, the less AI signal you have. But I think within the context of the larger document, I think it's quite possible. I also think, we're always looking at like the adversarial cases where people try to prompt away AI content with a humanizer skill or something else. And also we're just looking at the new frontier models as well. We looked at some of the Claude Mythos system card example outputs where they had Mythos write some fiction and Pangram was able to correctly classify it as AI, which is a good sign for our generalization. But I think we got to keep it up. Once Mythos is out, we'll be training on it and making sure Pangram is the best it can be.
Max, I think I'll do our listeners and viewers at this like misjustice if I don't ask you about if people don't use Pangram yet, they should go install the Chrome extension. You guys give a generous 2-week free tier. And you're not sponsoring the show. It's just like something that I like, and I really
Appreciate
like testing tools. But for a human that reads a bunch of like text on the internet, what are the 5 top ones that come to your mind? Tells of AI written text.
Ooh, I mean, I think the big one is still the not just X but Y. But then I think like the ChatGPT models, especially the like 5.x series, they like to do a lot of like one-word sentences of like choppy like staccato. And so I look for that. I think like on average, like AI writing tends to have like very even paragraph lengths, whereas human writing less so. I think those are like the main ones I look at, but also just I just rely on Pangram as well, because honestly, it's like sometimes it's really difficult. Sometimes it takes getting a Pangram score where it says AI. Then I like take a deeper look. I'm like, okay, there's none of the like obvious cells, but I think
there's no M dashes. There's no
exactly.
It's not
yeah,
X,
you can
it's
prompt
Y.
those away.
Yeah.
And sometimes like AI text, it just has this like is this anti-mimetic nature of like my eyes kind of gloss over and I like don't read it as closely. And there's something about the AI text that makes me do that, even if it's like subconscious.
And so, like, you guys are training a model, obviously, like for people to be very clear, this is not like some regex that you run on text and just like try to detect this. There's a model that's trained, multiple models probably. Speaking of models, you guys have open sourced stuff. We love open source here on Thursday. I would love to chat with you about your just thoughts about open source. Obviously, you are a business, so you have proprietary needs as well. But like, talk to us about your like papers released and models that you guys release in open source. Like, what are you thinking generally in open source? Is it better to release something like you have, or will it just lead to people training on this as well? Let's talk about this.
So we did release a model. It's much smaller than the model that we run on Pangram.com and our API. And it's also kind of trained on more toy data, like it doesn't have all of the tips and tricks. But I think it's always good to put out open source models so that research can be replicated. So this is like a one-for-one, like exact, like it's all the code and the model that was in our edit lens paper. And then of course we incorporate those techniques into the Pangram model, which has a lot more like tricks. So I think we always want to stay ahead of the game, but I do want to put something out there so that people can tinker with and we can advance the state of the field.
That's great, man. And we appreciate open source as well. But obviously, you're a business, and folks should try give Pangram a try. So, Max, maybe as a last like piece of question, feel free to like shout out the folks who are working with you and the type of stuff that you want, and how do they get this Chrome extension, and where they can use this as well. Obviously, I showed you can just like select a bunch of text, right click, and then see if it's AI generated. What else? What kind of platform do you cover, and where can you get the Chrome extension?
Yeah, so you can get the Chrome extension if you go to pangram.com, sign up for an account. But we also, if you look in the like pinned tweet in the Pangram Labs Twitter account, you can get an extra week free. So you get a 2-week trial, which would be pretty nice. And so obviously you can right click and scan anywhere, but we'll also automatically scan posts for you on Reddit, Twitter, LinkedIn, Substack, and Medium. So, and more platforms to come, of course, but I think these are the ones where people spend a lot of time reading, and you want to, if you care about the health of your feeds and want to make sure if like whether what you're reading is AI or not, then you should consider getting the Chrome extension.
I think it's definitely very, very cool. I jumped in like very early on and tried it out. Many of my suspicions about who's a slop merchant on my feed have been validated. So I'm very, very happy that like I knew about them as well. But Max, thank you so much for coming and kind of dispelling the idea. I think it's very important that we also update our like belief system continuously. For a while there, people didn't trust any AI detection mechanism, said none of them were possible. I think the false positives narrative is the right one. So kudos to you for you guys doing this. If you say that's AI, it's likely very high likelihood of this is AI.
We're very confident.
Yes, very, very confident. So that's great. 99.98% confidence score. Max, thank you so much for coming. Feel free to come back to us when you guys crack something and detect everything and future releases as well. We'll be
All right,
very,
I'll
very
let you
happy.
know when we have new modalities coming out.
Okay. Yes. Last
you up.
thing that you should come to do the prep with me. I have to ask you this. This is only text. People can trust the voices anymore or visuals anymore. So you already opened this up, so I know you're making the face.
Okay.
I can't tell you,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'll say that we don't have a strong timeline on it, but I think this is very important as well. Like, I want to know that the images and videos that I see online are also real and not AI generated. I think that's going to be an important part of my personal cognitive security, and I think we're working to make that happen.
I think cognitive security, dude, I can keep you on forever. We need to continue. We have a bunch of other stuff to cover, but like cognitive security is a concept, is a very, very important thing. We keep talking about this on Thursday for a while. You need to know what you're reading, what your inputs are. And if you're getting one-shotted by fucking mythos that's great at cybersecurity, but also like great at probably convincing you of the earth being flat, that's not great for anyone. So cognitive security is like this great concept.
Absolutely. And I think it's like pretty clear that like LLMs today are superhuman in persuasion. I don't know if you know that like Sam Altman tweet about that, but I think like very quickly after that 4.0 came out, and I think it's more persuasive than talking to a person. And so I think it's very like we need tools to keep our cog stack up, and Pangram is one of those.
That's great. That's a great framing, and we're looking forward for the multimodality stuff because that is getting crazy. GPT image is really, really hard to tell sometimes. It's getting crazy. Max, thank you so much for coming. We'll definitely have you on about multimodality in the future and cognitive security as a general concept. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Alrighty. We'll bring back Nistan. And what do you guys think about Pangram?
A lot of
definitely have to check my own post.
Oh, you guys are talking about each other. Somebody has a delay or something. Let's go Nistan first and then Wolfram.
We have to keep in mind that we're in a Twitter bubble here, and the rest of the population has a very different opinion of AI. And there's a mix of both misinformation and good concerns in there. So these types of tools matter a lot more than like what some of us on Twitter might think they do.
Listen, we talked about a personal firewall for cognitive security like 2 years ago. I think it's time we just leave our day job and just build this, because I don't want my, grandma's getting one-shotted with like, propaganda with LLMs. And I think that's like very important, not only in the world of text, but also in multimodality. Everything they see, all these crazy people on Facebook, which, by the way, we should ask Musk why they didn't add a Facebook there, are getting like, Jesus in a toast type posts that they just fully believe in. Okay, no sponsored, nothing. It's just like, I think it's very important. Any comments on the Pangram stuff before we move on?
I think it's hard. I think that it's very hard. I'm just saying that they're working on a very hard problem. It's not easy at all to detect AI-generated text, because AI is pretty much speaking roughly like us at this point, unless you use a very shitty model and not caring at all what actually is the model outputting, which you can see a lot online, surprisingly. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, and I just, conceptually, I think you deserve to know if you read an AI-generated text. You just deserve to know. And I'm not talking about AI helping someone edit their post. I mean, just
slop. You mean slop?
That's fine. That's fine. Yeah. That's actually like we all do it. It's fine. But just generated blindly text, I think everyone deserves to know. Not that there is anything wrong with this. Just you need to know, and I highly like. I'm all for this idea. Just saying.
Yep. All right, folks. Time for us to move on. There's not a... Yeah, go ahead, Wolfram.
I think the multimodality stuff, that is very exciting, because when I see text, or basically by now, I always expect
Wolfram,
everything to be AI generated. My son showed me something today.
Start again? You froze for a little bit. I think the network connection is slow on your end.
I think that multimodality is the big unlock here, because when I see text is like opinion. Everybody can have one. But if it is a picture, it is more objective, not as subjective. If I post a picture or a video I recorded, it is basically, usually it used to be an objective recording of the reality. But nowadays, you have to expect everything to be basically AI generated, because it's so hard to tell. So having something that can help restore that trust in a way for these modalities, I think that would be very helpful. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, folks, we have to move on. We're almost at the end of time. We chatted with Max and some other folks, and time blew past, and we didn't cover many of the stuff that I planned to cover. I think a better job needed. But let's run through the stuff that we didn't cover yet, and then mention them like we did in TLDR. 11 Labs, 11 Music. I wanted to play. We can probably play like a sample before we move on. We talked about SenseTime and Granite. I want to talk about Stripe. I think this is the most important thing. This was the number one highlight for me. Stripe had their annual Stripe Sessions conference where they released a bunch of stuff. It is very obvious how fast Stripe is moving in agentic engineering as well. And one of the coolest things that they released is Stripe Link Wallet for agents. And I definitely want to show you this. This is quite incredible. Let me show you what we're talking about here. Stripe Link is, if you ever bought something with Stripe, they asked you, hey, do you want to save this credit card to Link to your account? And then you basically link that credit card into that account. Then you can just pay with Link. So this is an existing ability. Stripe has announced a CLI for this, and the ability for your agents to actually spend money on your behalf while you are protected. So the agent doesn't see the credit card number, so you don't share the credit card numbers with the agent. So your actual credit card is never exposed. A Stripe agent gets payment credentials via Stripe Link, and human approval is required on every purchase. And Stripe does like payment tokens and time-bounded and amount-capped payment tokens. What this essentially means is that you can safely give your clanker an ability to pay everywhere on the internet. It works everywhere, and I think it's incredible. And I actually want to test this out live on the show. I don't know if it's gonna work because for some reason I can't share my damn screen, but it's okay. I will go to Wolfred, which is my open cloud. I'm gonna show you this here, and I will say, hey, using. Let me zoom in here so you guys can see. This may or may not work because it's been flaky lately. Using your Stripe Link stuff, go online, find Thursday and subscribe with your email and pay the subscription fee monthly. So we'll see. It's gonna be tricky because my phone has been used to record. This is Opus 4.7 in OpenClaw.
Mm-hmm.
I would be afraid to give Opus 4.7 money. I'm just saying.
Yam, that's a great point, but I will show you again what I'm talking about here. I'm not giving it money. I'm giving it an access to Stripe Link. Okay, first, what email should I use? Yes, use this one. Yeah.
Look, I've already given not Opus 4.7, not by a long shot, but I've already given models just direct use of my browser, and I have a Stripe account already logged in to my browser, and I told them, for example, to buy credits for OpenAI API, and I did so through OpenClaw. I just told OpenClaw to do it, and nothing disastrous happened. And but I totally get the point. I mean, it could have easily spiraled into a complete disaster.
It could leak your credit cards, right? Like if you actually wanted to go buy, I think this is the highlight of the Stripe Link thing. The agent does not get access to the actual credentials. It gets, I think they generate like a one. I actually don't know. They generate like a token and probably a one-time use credit card number or something. But I think that this is the highlight here. Yeah,
it's just a sandbox for credit card. That's great. Seriously.
I think it's incredible, but also like it's an approval gated sandbox. And then I think that this is what we're looking for. We're looking for stability. We're looking for verification and user gated kind of transactions. So it does take a while. So we're seeing it's typing, it's doing something. something is happening here. But hopefully, once it does it, I'll be able to approve this transaction via the Stripe link website and the notification on the iOS app. So while this happens, I'll tell you guys a story. Yesterday, I tried this out. My wedding is coming in a week, next Tuesday, so I'm not going to be on the show next week. So folks will, Yum and Ryan and Nistan LDJ will hold the show for you guys. And so I decided to give ourselves a little bit of a surprise, and I asked our OpenClaw agent to go and buy something for me, and I gave it a budget of $200. Stripe Link, I think, has a $500 a day limit. And I said, hey, you have $200. Go hunt for a present and have it appear at our house, and you have this $200 budget. It didn't work immediately. So here's the stuff that went wrong. But generally, it did end up working with a very funny ending. So first of all, the notifications weren't turned on the Stripe Link iOS app. So the agents can generate a link for you to click and go on the web and actually approve or disapprove some stuff. But if you have the iOS app, the notifications are timely, so you can say, hey, I approve this payment, I don't approve this payment. So that's great. Notifications didn't show up for me. We ended up debugging this with the Stripe people via DMs. Apparently, their onboarding doesn't ask for notifications. Once I turned this on, they started showing up. Then there was a whole thing where when an agent decides to pay, they kind of put a hold on your limit. So if you give $500 limit, so the testy stuff that my agent did was sitting on that limit. There was no API to cancel the limit. So basically, probably a fraud detection. The agent kind of tried too many times, and I didn't click in time, so those requests expired. But there's no way for the agent to clear those requests and try new ones. So basically, we're like for 24 hours or something, we were locked out of being able to pay just because I didn't click the link fast enough. So I think that is something they have to fix. And then, besides the payment that went through, there's the regular AI stuff with the agent. It wrote something. It wrote the incorrect date. It had the memory date of our proposal, but didn't have the memory date of our wedding. So it added our proposal date on the kind of the thing. It ended up buying me a gift, so I had to ask it for a few stuff. Ended up buying me a gift. This gift arrives somewhere in June. It's really, really funny. It first got us a beer spa. And I was like, I don't want to go to a beer spa. I also want a physical thing to show up at my house as a present. So it got us a gift, and then the gift supposedly arrived somewhere in June. But it's supposed to be customized and engraved, and it spent the money today. So I'm very happy with this experiment, generally. Okay, time to show you what happened. Nothing. This waited for a while. I've been talking and waiting. There's more than 4 minutes, and OpenClaw, like OpenClaw of other people, has died. I have no idea why, and I don't have the patience to go and fix this. So I will just stop here, and then we'll move on. But this has been my experience with OpenClaw lately, as sad as it is. I don't know if it's a Telegram or something. It's just typing, and then no answer. And I'm kind of done with this. I need more reliability here. So my live demo with this didn't work, which means that we move on to our next segment. It's called This Week's Buzz, and we're going to talk about Cursor Agent and SDK, and then.
A quick tip for people, you can do the same with PayPal, because when an agent puts something in the cart and wants to pay, it generates a link to PayPal, and that can be given to you. You authorize it, give the response link back, and then it can make the payment. That works as well. Yeah.
That's great. Let's do this week's buzz super quick. We have a few things to announce, Wolfram. I really would love to talk about the virality of Wolfbench and the findings as well. And then I think we're good to conclude the show. We've been at this for 2 hours already. From CoreWeave. I have to re-record this because Weights and Biases is from CoreWeave. As you guys see, Wolfram has wearing a yellow jacket from Weights and Biases from CoreWeave. And Wolfbench is going a little bit viral this week. Wolfram, would you tell us why? We want to share something and talk about our findings?
Yeah, sure. We did some more tests. I will just share my screen, and find the correct tab. So we should be seeing the Wolfbench screen with the nice colorful bars. And just to recap what Wolfbench is, we've been talking about it on the show for a long time. And you can just go to wolfbench.ai then you see this, and there's a long explanation what it is about at the bottom. And it's not just the benchmark that looks at one score, but we are looking at different scores, and we are looking at different combinations of models and agents. So in this case, we have GPT 5.5, and I will zoom in a bit. So these are the models we tested, and the site is interactive. So you can say, I want to see just GPT 5.0 or not GPT 5.0, and I want to see the average, for instance. That is a score that basically everybody reports on, which is a terminal bench. The benchmark I'm using is terminal bench, and by default, everybody uses it, and they only report their average score. But yeah, we have different agents, different models, and there's a new sort feature. If I click this once, it sorts everything according to which had the highest score. So we see GPT 5.5 with cursor agent had the best score, and I can push it once more, and it goes across all the models. You can see it that the models changed. So this is the default order, and this is basically across all models, what is the best agent.
Wolfram, I want to make sure that you're not bearing the lead with the technicalities of the website. They're very rightfully excited about because you build them. But folks, Cursor Agent with GPT 5.5 has the highest intelligence score that we've tested on Wolfbench, which uses terminal bench, but also tests the highest score and the base score, and it's highest among everything, among OpenClaws and Hermes agents and T2 frameworks. So Cursor Agent from it's the best score that we had so far. And it's very, very impressive. And this is why I think we're going viral, because many folks from Cursor are rightly so, are very proud of their work and reposting this. I think it's very, very important. Yeah. We haven't tested all the agents. I will say we haven't tested Devin. We haven't tested. Folks are asking us for Codex. Obviously,
it works. It's already running. I already have scores. Not spoiling now, but this will be the next one I publish. So we will see if Cursor is still the #1. But I want to show one important thing about Wolfbench, because I'm not just looking at this score. And if you look at it, it's just 1 percentage point difference, and we can even show the number. Oh, that was a number. I showed the number. It's 89 tasks and 69. It's one task that Cursor can do more, though. It's very, very close. But if we not just look at the average score, but we also look at the baseline, basically how many of all the tasks in the benchmark does the agent do all the time, then at 57%, that is a big jump from the 53 number of tasks. So basically 4% points difference. That is, it is a more reliable agent as well. It's not just basically the score is basically the same here. If you look at the average, 77%, but it has a higher baseline, a higher solid base that it does. So if you want a more reliable agent, that is an important part that you don't see at other benchmarks. But this is one thing. While Terminus 2, the standard agent, still has a higher ceiling of 2% points. So across all of the tasks in this benchmark, 92% can be solved by the agent, but it only solves 77% on average in one. And that is some information you can get out of this. And it's all public. It's an open source framework, which I'm based on. You can download it. You can run it yourself. You can even click the bar and go directly to our Weave platform, which opens in a new tab. And you can look at it. You can download it. And you can have your own agent look at those things and find out why is Cursor better. Because on X, somebody asked, why is Cursor, what is better about it compared to the other? And I had my agent analyze it, and it was a repo editing hygiene, cleanup, and multi-step tool use. That is what made Cursor more, take the lead in that.
I want to ask this again. So because of the observability powered by Weights and Biases Weave, you're able to ask your agent to go and analyze the differences, right? And so what the differences were, can you say this again? Why is Cursor better than Terminal Bench and OpenClaw at these tasks?
It was more reliable on hard edit-heavy tasks and had fewer failures in that regard. So basically, they have cool or great tools for editing files, and that made a difference here. That's great. Wolfram, thank you so much. The other news that we have in this week's buzz is that IBM is now on Weights and Biases. Not Ernie. We're not hosting closed source models. So IBM Granite is now up on Weights and Biases as well for very, very cheap. You definitely guys should try it on the Weights and Biases bench on the Weights and Biases info service. And then we're probably going to test this on Wolfbench as well to show you. I think it's time to conclude the show, folks. We haven't run through
quite a few other things, but I think we did okay. The more important thing is that we tested the Cursor agent, but Cursor this week released an SDK that you can take the Cursor intelligence and the harness and place it in your own apps. So that's like worth a shout out. And also that cognition, Devin, that we like talked to you about, and we had Nader a bit on the show that we haven't tested yet, but like likely will coming as well because of the effort of Wolfram. They reached out to us and said, "Hey, can we test Devin as well?" So we're gonna test Devin. Devin released a CLI for Devin in terminal. This is how we can finally kind of test this as well, because Devin used to be a closed source system, and now there's a CLI that you can just run. I think it's worth ending the show on the fact that the demo did not work. Wolfram has died. Somewhere there, Wolfram has died. It's very sad that this is my experience, but many people's experience.
I'm still alive, Alex.
Yeah, Wolfram. Oh my God, I'm so sorry, dude. Wolfred, my assistant, is no longer responsive, and I think it's because of the CLI Anthropic thing, probably. So you could say that Claude did kill OpenClaw a little bit, but also I think it's worth finishing on the 11 Labs music thing. So let's play a choice track from this 11 Labs, slow, dreamy indie rock with reverb vocals. I don't know if I like this one. Let's skip. No, sorry, I wish I could.
Llegamos al party, el calor se siente ya.
So it's very like it's worth saying that 11 Labs. Oh, wait! It responded. It didn't die. I was lying. I'm so sorry. I was lying. I just took it a long time. But there we go. You guys see this approval link? I created a link spam request for $10 to cover the 6-month free. If I press this, and I can press this quicker than you guys can see, so nobody can snipe this link, I can approve. I can show you how this looks. Can I show you how this looks without exposing the payments that I did? I think I can. Yes. Okay. So I can show you here. I'd rather not expose my credit card if you don't mind, but there's like a nice approval mechanism. I hit approve, and this is how the link works. It sends me a link to approve, and I don't know why it took 7 minutes more, almost 10 minutes. So it's not useful, but I approve this payment now, and then Wolfred can go and buy some stuff, and I think it's like very cool. It just took 10 minutes longer than I did, and so no one's dead. Wolfram is alive. Wolfred is alive, and I should name my assistant differently to not get confused anymore. I apologize for this. Okay, we will see if it actually created a subscriber. But I think it's time for us to conclude the show, folks. With this, thank you so much, everybody who tuned in to Thursday this week. Folks are asking already for other Wolfbench harnesses. Thank you so much for tuning in for the show this week. Next week is going to be a little bit of a different show because I'm not going to be here, but for good reasons. I appreciate everyone who tuned in. If you missed any part of the show, we are turning the show into a newsletter and a podcast. We still have a very high rating on everywhere, so please give us a 5-star if you are a listener. And if not, please feel free to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, everywhere else. My name is Alex Volkov, and AI Evangelist with Weights and Biases from CoreWeave. Wolfram is on my team as well, doing incredible work with Wolfbench, Jan Peleg, and Nistan, co-host. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, everybody who tuned in. Max Piro was our guest from Pangram Labs today, and we'll see you next week. Well, I won't see you, but like the folks will see you next week here. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Everyone.